Well, the government is still shut down, and folks, I don't know. It's kind of like the old Amazing Rhythm Aces song. The end is not in sight. We don't know when this is going to finally come to an end. Both sides are continuing to throw the blame at each other, but I tend to point the blame at the side who is in control. I tend to point the finger at the side who has a Republican president, a Republican House, Republican Senate, and a Republican Supreme Court stacked 6-3 in their favor. They can sit here and make every excuse in the world that they want to make, but until they swear in Adelita Grijalva, she becomes the 218th vote. They release the Epstein files, and then they accept what's in the Epstein files, and if there's bad enough stuff in the Epstein files, they hold everyone accountable that's in there. Until they do that, I'm not going to give these people any credit. I'm just not. And so we're going to be talking about that. And also, one thing that Mike Johnson is very upset about is the No Kings protest, which they are already calling a Hate America rally. Of course, that's the way they're going to spin this one. They could never imagine that somebody might be tired of their bullshit. They could never imagine that someone might actually want to protest against the authoritarian bullshit that they're now putting on every one of us. And so let's take a look here at Mike Johnson. He says he's had it with these people. Well, trust me, buddy, the feeling is mutual.
Because of this nonsense. And we're so angry about it. I mean, I'm a very patient guy. But I have had it with these people. They're playing games with real people's lives. The theory we have right now, they have a Hate America rally that's scheduled for October 18th on the National Mall. It's all the pro-Hamas wing and the Antifa people. They're all coming out. Some of the House Democrats are selling T-shirts for the event, and it's being told to us that they won't be able to reopen the government until after that rally because they can't face their rabid base. I mean, this is serious business. Hurting real people. And I'm beyond words. I can't believe they're actually doing this.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker.
He actually went there. He actually took it to the reason why the government is shut down is because of this protest, and the left is wanting to sell shirts and they don't want to face their rabid base. He actually said that out loud. And he will never own up to the fact that the reason why we all think the government is remaining shut down is because they do not want to release the Epstein files. Folks, pretty much everything that happens within the Trump administration, with them now going after Antifa like never before, when there's not even really such a thing as Antifa, it's just an idea, it's not an organization. But the reason why they're doing all this stuff and throwing as much stuff at the wall to see if it will stick, and while they're trying to give Trump credit for peace in the Middle East when there's no such thing, the reason why they're trying to do every bit of this stuff is so they can then turn and just sweep all the Epstein files under the rug. I do believe that's why the government has continued to shut down. And I really do believe that if they honestly cared about children and they were really the party of pro-life and were the party of responsibility and accountability and pulling yourself up by the boots, then they would release the files and they would face the music. But I don't think they're ever going to. But, what's been so interesting, too, is watching Marjorie Taylor Greene jump ship. There are Republicans who are seeing ahead and realizes that the ship is actually sinking. I do believe that people like Mike Johnson, Donald Trump, Vance, they're all very delusional. Marjorie Taylor Greene's not. She actually realizes that the ship is sinking, and she's been pulling away, and she's been calling it out. And I'm not here to give her any credit, but I will say that she's smart enough to look ahead of the future and realize that she's going to have a career after all of this is over. And so at least she's actually been saying things here lately that I catch myself agreeing with. And folks, that's kind of scary. But I'm to the point, as far as Mike Johnson talking about, we're tired of these people. Trust me, I am so over the top tired of MAGA. I'm truly tired of Marjorie Taylor Greene. But if she can put a crack in the MAGA foundation and end up destroying that whole thing, then I'll sit back and let her burn it down. I'm going to play a clip here of Hakeem Jeffries because he's just as shocked as any of the rest of us that Marjorie Taylor Greene is having a moment of wokeness.
The heartland of America and black and brown communities throughout America.
It is an interesting moment with Marjorie Taylor Greene breaking with the party on a couple of issues. One of them is the Epstein files, and the other one, again, are these health care subsidies and costs. Have you met with her?
I have not met with her, but it does seem to many of us that she's had a surprisingly enlightened few weeks in terms of her perspective on both the Epstein files and also, Katie, we know one of the reasons why Republicans refuse to come back, why they remain on vacation, all across the country is because they don't want to swear in Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva because she would represent the 218th signature for an up or down vote on releasing the Epstein files. And at the same period of time, Republicans have no interest, zero interest in trying to address the healthcare crisis that they visited upon the American people, even though you've got Republicans now, most prominently Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's making clear this is not a made-up crisis. It's a real thing.
Folks, I will always point this out. The Republicans have never had a health care plan. They have never had an alternative to Obamacare. They've been fighting against health care before most of us was ever born. I mean, if you go all the way back to FDR and the New Deal, they were fighting against it then. They've been fighting against it every step of the way. And if you remember, Donald Trump said he had concepts of a plan. We still haven't even seen those concepts of a plan. So when Mike Johnson says, oh, we're the party that cares about health care, I laugh out loud at that, and we all know better. But it's an absolute slap in the face that they go out here and they all go on vacation and they continue to get paid while everyday Americans struggle. Folks, the Republican Party is not the party of the working class. They might have duped some working class people into voting against their own interest, but they are not the party of the working class. They never have been. They never will be. All they have ever been is the party of the culture wars. And the culture wars is what ended up winning it for them. And what also ended up winning it for them was Donald Trump bringing people into the political world who just wanted to see WWE-style theater, who just wanted to see reality show type theater. They grew up on such a steady diet of that crap, they think that's how the government is ran. So right now, to a lot of them, this is just a reality show episode, and they're sitting there slinging shit back and forth at each other, not realizing they're cutting their noses off to spite their own face. And it's so frustrating to sit back and watch this, but the audacity of them to sit and go, oh, it's the Democrats' fault. The Democrats did this. They are in control of everything. They could bring it back together. They could have stopped it from happening to start with. It didn't have to happen. But again, the Epstein files was coming up, and they had to pump the brakes because they're the party that is defending pedophiles, plain and simple. And there's no other way around it anymore. There's no way to get around this one. There's no way to weasel out of this one. The Republicans are the party that protects pedophiles, plain and simple. And until they release the Epstein files and they hold everyone accountable that ever hurt anyone, we're not going to say anything any different. At least I'm not. And I always say this because I know there's going to be a troll somewhere that's going to say, well, what about Bill Clinton? I don't give a damn about Bill Clinton. If he's guilty of wrongdoing, you can prosecute him. You can throw him away. I'm not going to lose no Bill Clinton merch. I'm not going to throw away one flag, one T-shirt, nothing. I think the only thing I have is his autobiography. I'll dump that in the trash. That's it. I won't have anything else to throw away because I don't worship politicians. But not only does the Mike Johnsons of the world worship Donald Trump, they're defending Donald Trump, and they're defending this one of the biggest criminal child sex trafficking rings in the world's history in Jeffrey Epstein. If they truly were the party of pro-life, they would have come out a long time ago and said, enough is enough. They would have come out a long time ago and said, hey, you would think, as hard as they preach for life, and as hard as they preach, we got to protect the children, you would think this would be the biggest one, really considering how they ran on it. They ran on the whole damn thing. They made it one of their biggest pieces was we're going to release the Epstein files, but here they are keeping the government shut down, letting the country just circle the drain, and I don't know when the government will reopen because they're sitting there going, well, the minute we do, we got to swear in Adelita Grijalva, and that's the 218th vote, and then here comes the files. So they're just going to throw as much shit as the wall as they can to see what will stick in hopes that we all forget about it. But we're not going to, folks. We're not going to forget about the Epstein files. We're going to continue to ask for them to be released and everyone to be held accountable from Donald Trump all the way down. It's not about Republican. It's not about Democrat. It's truly not. But I don't ever want to hear a Republican ever bring up caring about children until they step up and say, we want to see the files. I may not be a fan of Marjorie Taylor Greene. I sure as hell ain't a fan of Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace. I'll never give them a pass. But at least they put their names on there. At least they did that. Maybe they were trying to save their asses later, but at least they did that. And at least Marjorie, in this moment in time, is standing strong on that. I hope she don't cave. I have no faith in her. I hope she don't cave, and I hope she stands strong, and I hope we make it across the finish line and get those files released. And when they get released, I don't want to sit back and watch them all make excuses. I just want to see them held accountable once and for all. But folks, I do appreciate y'all so much for your support here on the channel. We're cruising toward 1 million subscribers, and I appreciate you so much because it's really hard sometimes for me to wrap my mind around the fact that I got that big of a following when I'm sitting in a town of 9,000 people. But I really do appreciate all of your support. We'll keep standing on the right side of history, and we'll keep calling this stuff out. And like I always joke and say, it's a full-time job when you're doing it because this administration is really flooding the zone. But we have to keep our head above water, and we have to stay focused, and we will. And I appreciate y'all so much for supporting this channel.